You ever notice how the best parts of your life didn't come when everything was easy? They came after something broke, after something scared you, after you were forced to step into the unknown. We all want to grow, but no one wants to be uncomfortable. Yet that's where the magic happens. Because the truth is, comfort never changed anyone. Growth only happens when you stop running from what hurts and start learning from it. The moment you embrace discomfort, you'll finally start to grow. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. The moment you let go of control, you'll finally find peace. Most people live their entire lives trying to manage, predict, and manipulate outcomes that were never theirs to begin with. We hold on so tightly to people, to plans, to the picture in our heads of how life should look that we end up strangling our own peace. Control feels safe because it gives us the illusion of certainty. We think if we can just plan it right, say the right words, do the right things, we can protect ourselves from disappointment, from rejection, from chaos. But control doesn't protect you. It imprisons you. It keeps you constantly on edge, waiting for things to go wrong, waiting for people to change, waiting for life to cooperate with your expectations. You start micromanaging moments, conversations, even emotions. You replay what you said, what they said, what you should have said. You can't rest because your mind is busy fixing problems that don't even exist yet. You call it being responsible, being prepared. But really, it's fear disguised as strategy. The fear of losing something you've already tied your worth to. The fear that if you stop managing, everything will fall apart. But here's the quiet truth that life eventually teaches everyone: you can't control outcomes, only effort. You can't control people, only your boundaries. You can't control timing, only your patience. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop carrying everything on your own shoulders. You stop thinking you can force peace through pressure. You stop believing that your worth depends on how well you manage the chaos around you. Letting go means learning to breathe again in the middle of uncertainty. It means trusting that what's meant for you doesn't need to be chased or controlled. It needs to be allowed. And that's hard, because surrender feels like weakness at first. It feels like giving up when in reality, it's finally giving in to what's real. There's something powerful about the moment you stop trying to control how someone sees you. When you stop twisting yourself into versions that fit their expectations. You realize how much mental space was being wasted on trying to earn love that was never conditional in the first place. You stop over-explaining, overthinking, overperforming. You start showing up as you are without the weight of pretending. And that's when the peace comes in. Not because everything around you changed, but because you did. Control feeds on anxiety. It whispers, if you just hold on a little tighter, it won't hurt this time. But the tighter you hold, the more it hurts, because control keeps you in a constant state of tension. Your mind in the future, your heart in the past. You can't experience the present when you're busy managing tomorrow. You can't enjoy love when you're always scared it'll leave. You can't grow when you're busy preventing the fall. Real peace comes from acceptance, from saying, I don't need to know how it will turn out to trust that I'll be okay. Sometimes, letting go of control looks like not texting back immediately just to feel secure. Sometimes it looks like not replaying that argument in your head again and again. Sometimes it's choosing to leave a situation without closure, choosing to forgive without an apology, choosing to rest when your brain tells you to keep fixing things. It's that subtle shift from, what if everything goes wrong, to, even if it does, I'll handle it. That's power. That's emotional maturity. That's peace. We chase control because we've learned somewhere along the way that chaos equals danger. Maybe it started in childhood, when you had to be the one to hold things together, when unpredictability meant pain. So you learned to plan, to manage, to anticipate, because being in control felt like being safe. But as an adult, that same habit becomes heavy. You start managing everyone's emotions except your own. You start solving problems that aren't yours. You start mistaking control for love, as if keeping everything together means you're holding value. But love doesn't need control to survive. Peace doesn't need control to exist. Both just need presence. Letting go isn't about being passive. It's about being wise enough to know what's yours to hold and what isn't. When you finally realize that some things are simply beyond you, how people treat you, what they think of you, whether they stay or go, you start focusing on the only thing you can control, your response. That's the moment life starts feeling lighter. You no longer get pulled into every emotional storm that passes by. You watch, you feel, but you don't drown. There's freedom in saying, I did my part, now it's not up to me. That sentence alone can unclench years of tension. You can stop chasing closure, stop proving your worth, stop performing stability for others. You can sit in uncertainty without fear because you've learned that peace isn't found in predicting the future. It's found in trusting yourself to handle it. And that kind of confidence can't come from control, it comes from letting go. People who find peace are not the ones who mastered control. They're the ones who mastered surrender. They stopped trying to force things into place and instead started trusting the process. They stopped begging life to go their way and started flowing with what's already unfolding. You don't have to like everything that happens to you to trust that it's shaping you. Some of your greatest growth will come from the things you didn't see coming, the people you couldn't predict, and the moments that made no sense at all. Control creates exhaustion. Letting go creates space. Space for new beginnings, for unexpected blessings, for genuine joy. When your hands are too busy gripping what's gone, they can't receive what's coming. And sometimes life won't move until you do. The moment you let go, you make room for peace to show up. Peace doesn't chase, it waits. It meets you where control ends. It fills the silence after the chaos. You'll notice the shift. You'll feel your body loosen, your breath deepen, your thoughts slow down. You'll start realizing that most of the things that once consumed you were never really yours to fix. You'll stop reacting out of fear and start responding out of wisdom. You'll stop trying to make people see your value and start walking like you already know it. That's not arrogance, that's peace. The kind that doesn't need validation, doesn't need control, and doesn't need explanation. Letting go of control isn't a one-time act. It's a daily choice. Some mornings you'll wake up and feel the need to grab hold again, to plan, to predict, to protect. And that's okay. Growth doesn't mean you never fall back into old habits. It means you notice faster and return to peace sooner. You remind yourself that you've been here before, you've survived worse, and you don't need to hold everything together for it to be okay. Life keeps moving, even when you stop controlling it. And most of the time, it moves exactly where it's meant to go once you finally step out of the way. The moment you stop seeking validation, you'll finally feel worthy. From the time we're young, we're taught to measure our worth through mirrors, grades, compliments, likes, approval, applause. Somewhere along the way, we learn to outsource our self-esteem to other people's opinions. We start chasing validation like it's oxygen, believing that if enough people like us agree with us or praise us, then we'll finally be enough. But the truth is, the more you chase validation, the more it runs from you. Because what you're really seeking isn't approval, it's assurance. Assurance that you matter. Assurance that you're seen. Assurance that you're enough without needing anyone else to say it. The problem with validation is that it's never consistent. One moment they love you, the next they don't. One day you're praised, the next you're forgotten. When your sense of worth depends on the changing opinions of others, you'll never feel safe within yourself. You'll constantly be performing, saying what people want to hear, doing what they expect, shrinking parts of yourself to fit in. You'll apologize for your boundaries, water down your truth, overextend your kindness, all in the name of being liked. And even when you get that approval, it's temporary. You'll need it again tomorrow. Validation becomes a drug. You need another dose to feel okay. But real worth, the kind that lasts, doesn't come from being seen. It comes from being sure. It's that quiet, grounded feeling that says, even if no one notices, I still matter. It's walking into a room without needing to prove why you belong there. It's saying no without guilt, saying yes without fear, and saying nothing when silence protects your peace. You can't feel free until you stop needing to be understood by everyone, because not everyone will. Some people will misunderstand your silence, your growth, your distance, your confidence, and that's okay. You don't exist to convince them. When you stop seeking validation, you stop living in reaction mode. You start living in alignment. You stop adjusting yourself to avoid rejection and instead start protecting your energy. You start choosing authenticity over approval. You stop performing and start being. That's when people's opinions lose power over you. It's not arrogance, it's awareness. You realize that validation can feel good, but it's not food. It can encourage you, but it can't sustain you. Only self-respect can do that. There's peace in realizing that you don't need to be impressive to be enough. You don't need to be extraordinary to be worthy of love, respect, or rest. You just need to be honest with yourself, with others, with what you want. The moment you stop needing validation, your voice gets stronger. You speak because you mean it, not because you want to be liked. You act because it's right, not because it's popular. You choose because it aligns with your values, not because it pleases someone else. And that's where confidence comes from, not perfection, but integrity. Validation addiction often hides behind humility. We tell ourselves we just want feedback, appreciation, connection. But underneath that, we're scared to stand alone. We're scared that if no one applauds us, it means we're not enough. But standing alone is where you find your strength. That's where you learn the difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness comes from needing others to fill your emptiness. Solitude comes from being full enough that your own company is enough. And when you learn to validate yourself, you stop begging people to fill spaces they were never meant to fill. You'll notice the shift in your relationships too. When you no longer need people to validate you, you start attracting people who value you. You stop chasing attention and start experiencing connection. You stop begging for scraps of appreciation and start walking in the fullness of your worth. The energy changes. You no longer show up to prove, you show up to share. You no longer stay to be chosen, you stay because it feels right. That's what self-worth does. It filters what doesn't align without needing to force anything. Sometimes you'll catch yourself still craving validation, and that's okay. That craving doesn't mean you failed, it means you're human. The key is not to let it drive you anymore. When the urge comes, pause and ask yourself, what do I need to hear right now that I'm hoping someone else will say? Then say it to yourself. Tell yourself you're doing enough, that you're growing, that you're worthy even on the days you don't feel like it. Because the voice you believe most is your own. Validation becomes unnecessary the moment you realize your worth isn't a debate. You don't have to defend it, explain it, or earn it. You were born with it. Every experience, every mistake, every scar, it all built the version of you standing here today. And that version doesn't need permission to be proud. When you stop seeking validation, you stop living half alive. You start moving differently, more grounded, more certain, more peaceful. You start making decisions that honor your truth, not your fear. And maybe that's what feeling worthy really means. Not that you think you're perfect, but that you know you're enough even when you're not. It's knowing that your value doesn't rise or fall based on who stays, who claps, or who notices. It's walking away from people, places, and situations that require you to prove yourself over and over again. You no longer chase validation because you finally understand you were the validation all along. The moment you choose yourself, you'll finally see who stays for the right reasons. For most of your life, you've probably been conditioned to prioritize everyone else, how they feel, what they want, what they think of you. You learn to keep the peace by keeping yourself small. You learn to earn love by overextending yourself. You learn to be chosen by proving your worth. But choosing yourself flips that entire script. It's the moment you decide to stop betraying your own needs for the sake of others' comfort. It's the moment you stop asking for permission to be at peace. Choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's self-respect. And it will show you everything you need to know about the people in your life. When you start choosing yourself, you begin to see who's been there for you and who's been there for what you give them. Because the moment you stop overgiving, the ones who were only there for the benefit of it will quietly disappear. They'll call you distant, cold, different. They'll say you've changed. And you have, but not in the way they mean. You've changed because you've finally realized your worth doesn't come from how much you do for others, but from how deeply you honor yourself. Choosing yourself means saying no when it drains you, even if it disappoints someone else. It means walking away from conversations that keep reopening old wounds. It means valuing your peace over being understood. It's the decision to stop chasing people who keep making you prove you deserve to be there. It's realizing that your energy, your time, and your presence are privileges, not debts. At first, choosing yourself feels uncomfortable, especially if you spent years being the caretaker, the peacemaker, the one who holds everything together. Guilt will try to creep in. You'll question if you're doing the right thing. You'll worry about what people will think. But the truth is, the people meant for you will never make you feel guilty for taking care of yourself. They'll understand your boundaries, not take offense to them. They'll celebrate your healing, not compete with it. The ones who only benefited from your lack of boundaries will try to convince you that choosing yourself is wrong because it stops serving them. But don't mistake their discomfort for your mistake. When you choose yourself, you stop settling for relationships that drain you. You stop trying to convince people to stay. You stop explaining why you deserve the same love you give so freely. You start valuing silence over forced connection, solitude over fake company, and alignment over attachment. And that's when you begin to see clearly who truly loves you and who just loves what you can do for them. It's painful at first, realizing that some people won't clap for your peace the way they clapped for your pain. But that pain is proof you're growing. You're not losing people, you're losing illusions. You're no longer living for conditional acceptance. You're building relationships rooted in mutual respect, not dependency. You're surrounding yourself with people who love you for your being, not your doing. Choosing yourself also means redefining what love looks like. You stop mistaking tolerance for loyalty. You stop confusing attention with affection. You stop accepting half efforts from people who expect your all. You begin to understand that love without respect is manipulation, and support without reciprocity is imbalance. You start to see that your boundaries aren't walls, they're doors. Doors that only open for those who know how to knock with care. There's a quiet power that comes from no longer needing to prove your worth to anyone. You stop chasing closure and start creating it. You stop explaining why you left when peace was no longer present. You stop feeling guilty for protecting your energy. You realize that choosing yourself doesn't mean abandoning others. It means refusing to abandon yourself for them. That's not selfish. That's survival. When you start honoring your needs, something else happens. You start to glow differently. Your energy changes. You stop begging for attention and start attracting authenticity. You no longer crave validation because you've built confidence from within. You become peaceful, grounded, self-assured, and people feel that. Some will be drawn to it, inspired by it, and others will be threatened by it. Either way, it reveals who's real. The ones meant for you won't compete with your healing, they'll contribute to it. Choosing yourself also reshapes the way you love others. When you no longer pour from emptiness, your love becomes purer, because it's no longer about proving or pleasing, it's about sharing. You love without losing yourself. You give without resentment. You help without expecting to be saved in return. That's the balance most people never find because they confuse love with sacrifice. But love doesn't require you to lose yourself. It requires you to be yourself. This choice won't always be easy. Some days you'll doubt it. Some nights you'll miss the comfort of being needed, even if it was toxic. But as time passes, you'll realize peace feels better than people pleasing ever did. You'll start waking up lighter, breathing deeper, feeling safer in your own skin, because you finally understand that your life doesn't need everyone's approval. It needs your alignment. The moment you choose yourself, life begins to rearrange. You'll see who truly values you when you stop making yourself small to keep them comfortable. You'll see who claps when you win, who listens when you hurt, who stays when you stop performing. And those people, the ones who stay when you no longer bend, those are your people. The rest were lessons. Choosing yourself doesn't just change your circle, it changes your entire standard. It teaches you that love isn't about sacrifice, it's about mutual peace. The moment you embrace discomfort, you'll finally start to grow. Growth has never lived in comfort zones. It hides in the places that make your stomach turn, in the conversations you avoid, in the decisions you postpone because they scare you. Every person who's ever evolved had to face something they didn't want to feel. Pain, uncertainty, rejection, failure. But discomfort is not your enemy, it's your greatest teacher. It's the alarm clock of your potential, shaking you awake from the safety of routine. And until you stop running from it, you'll keep reliving the same lessons in different forms. We spend so much of our lives trying to avoid discomfort. We label it as bad, as something to escape, something to numb. We distract ourselves with noise, with business, with validation, all to avoid sitting with the truth. But the truth is that every breakthrough begins where comfort ends. The hardest parts of life, the heartbreaks, the disappointments, the failures, those are not punishments, they're invitations. They force you to grow into the version of yourself you've been avoiding becoming. The version that doesn't need to be liked to feel confident. The version that can stand alone and not crumble. The version that chooses long-term peace over short-term pleasure. When you embrace discomfort, you stop expecting growth to feel good. You understand that progress often looks like confusion, like pain, like silence. You stop panicking when life feels heavy because you realize heaviness is how strength is built. Discomfort is the gym for your character. Every difficult situation is a weight you're learning to lift. You don't get stronger by avoiding resistance. You get stronger by meeting it head on, again and again, until it no longer breaks you. Think about it. The most important transformations in your life didn't happen when everything was easy. They happened when everything fell apart. The moments that hurt the most forced you to rebuild from a deeper place. That's the gift of discomfort. It strips away what's false. It removes the distractions, the excuses, the illusions of control. It leaves you face to face with yourself, and that's where real growth begins. Most people want change, but they don't want the process that comes with it. They want the glow up without the grind, the breakthrough without the breakdown. But discomfort is the bridge between who you are and who you're meant to become. It's not there to punish you. It's there to prepare you. Every challenge you face is shaping your resilience, your patience, your wisdom. Growth doesn't come from escaping the fire. It comes from learning how to walk through it without losing your light. Embracing discomfort means you stop seeing fear as a red flag and start seeing it as a compass. Fear often points directly toward the thing you need to do next. That conversation you're avoiding. That's where healing hides. That risk you're afraid to take. That's where your potential lives. That boundary you're scared to set. That's where your peace begins. Fear and discomfort are not signals to stop. They're signals to pay attention. Because behind them is the next level of your life waiting for you to step in. The reason discomfort feels so hard is because your brain craves familiarity, not happiness. It wants what's known, even if it hurts. So when you try to change, when you try to grow, your mind resists. It tells you to stay where it's safe, where it's predictable. But safety and stagnation often look the same. The longer you stay comfortable, the smaller your world becomes. Growth requires you to disappoint that voice in your head that says, I can't. It requires courage, and courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward despite it. When you start embracing discomfort, you stop waiting for the right moment. You understand that waiting is just another form of fear. You stop needing perfect conditions to take imperfect steps. You start showing up in the mess, in the uncertainty, in the process. And that's where magic happens. You begin to realize that confidence doesn't come before action. It comes after. Every time you survive something you thought you couldn't, your confidence grows. Every time you step into discomfort and make it through, you prove to yourself that you're stronger than your fears. Discomfort also exposes what's real. It shows you who's really in your corner. It shows you what matters when everything else falls away. It clarifies your values. When life feels easy, it's hard to tell who's genuine. But when things get hard, the truth surfaces. You learn who supports you and who only shows up when it's convenient. You learn what deserves your energy and what doesn't. Discomfort cleans your life in ways peace never could. The beautiful thing about discomfort is that it's temporary, but the growth it creates lasts forever. The pain fades, but the strength stays. The fear dissolves, but the wisdom remains. Every uncomfortable experience expands your capacity for more patience, more courage, more empathy. You begin to trust yourself on a deeper level because you've seen what you can handle. That trust becomes your anchor. Embracing discomfort doesn't mean you start seeking pain. It means you stop running from truth. You stop choosing easy over right. You stop pretending you're fine when you're not. You allow yourself to feel everything fully because you know that numbness might protect you from pain, but it also protects you from growth. You learn to sit in the tension, breathe through the fear, and move forward anyway. Soon, discomfort stops scaring you. It starts guiding you. You begin to see it as a sign you're in motion, not stuck. You start to welcome it as proof that you're alive, evolving, stepping closer to the person you were meant to be. And one day, you'll look back at the moments that once terrified you and realize they built you. Every tear, every risk, every sleepless night taught you something comfort never could. The moment you embrace discomfort, life stops being something that happens to you and becomes something that happens for you. You stop hiding from challenges and start using them. You stop praying for an easy path and start praying for the strength to walk the hard one. Because you finally understand that growth isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before fear taught you to shrink. And that version of you, the one who faces discomfort instead of running from it, that's the version who's truly free.